Happy New Year, everybody. There hasn't been a clear successor to Barbenheimer. Glicked seemed a likely contender, violent action movie paired with a musical. That's an ironic contrast, I guess. But neither was quite as universally beloved. Joker 2 and Megalopolis was even funnier, but they were actually released a week apart and both obviously flopped really hard. I think the duo most in the spirit of Barbenheimer in 2024 has been the Christmas Day double feature of BabyRatu, Nosferatu, and Babygirl. Not only do they fit again with the black and pink color scheme, one is directed by a man, the other by a woman. It's a fashionable protagonist and a historically significant monster, har har. But they're ultimately thematically harmonious, taking far different aesthetic and narrative approaches to get to more or less the same place. I can't say I loved either, but I liked both quite a bit, and they made a nice finale to a year full of fantastic independent films. I've been a fan of Robert Eggers since The Witch, but that was the last work of his that I fully loved. The commitment to period dialogue and superstition both transported you to another time and illuminated the nature of the social structures and gender roles of early colonial North America. It almost felt like what a 17th century Puritan might make if you gave them modern film equipment. Eggers has only gotten better at this kind of thing, but he's never surprised me in quite the same way. In remaking a movie from the 1920s about the 1830s, there's two levels of historical engagement going on with Nosferatu, both leaning into the grossness of a society pre-modern germ theory, and also the stark darks and lights of early cinema. This isn't black and white, but it's close to it, with the near black darkness and shadow eliciting the most terror. The vampire Nosferatu himself is the most scary when he's in the distance, mostly obscured, and I was the most afraid during this movie toward the beginning when we've seen less of Bill Skarsgård's prosthetics before the fear of the unknown gave way to disgust seeing them up close. This left me more impressed with the front half of the movie, but the shift was clearly intentional. Like with The Witch, Nosferatu centers the role of women in the era, specifically their lack of sexual autonomy and the efforts of men to ensure they exercise no autonomy of any kind. And leaning into disgust highlights the gross nature of controlling women. Fittingly, the biggest surprise in a movie with Nicholas Hoult, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Willem Dafoe, Bill Skarsgård, and Ralph Ineson all at the top of their game was Lily Rose Depp ultimately giving the most impressive performance. She expresses terror, hysteria, longing, and resolute bravery amongst a bunch of men panicking. She's the center that holds the movie together. If someone told me that this was their favorite movie of the year, I wouldn't argue or think any less of them. It's very good. Eggers films just tend to land somewhere in the bottom half of a top 20 or 25 list of any given year for me. I'll always be there for them, but my excitement has kind of plateaued, at least for the time being. Judging by how full every auditorium was that I tried to book tickets for, I'm sure a lot of you have already seen this movie, but if you haven't and the trailer looked interesting to you, I'd say it'll at least meet your expectations. Babygirl exceeded my expectations, however. The trailer gave me the impression that it was setting out to shock its audience with wild, kinky sex. And there's sex in this movie, and sex involving power dynamics, but for adult audiences, I'm kind of surprised this is garnering a reputation for being shocking. Actually, if I could sum up this movie in one word, I would say it's kind of sweet. Babygirl is more concerned with questioning the hullabaloo we make about sex and sexual desires than it is in capitalizing off of it, as the marketing has. Babygirl follows the CEO of an automated shipping company who enters into an affair with an intern. The subversion of expectations here is that it's Harris Dickinson's intern that plays the dominant role in the relationship to Nicole Kidman's submissive, all-powerful CEO. It's a film about power and the sexual excitement of losing it, but for a movie about power, it's one that decidedly never strips its characters of agency. Its protagonist controls the employment of several characters. Her husband is a successful and incredibly attractive playwright played by Antonio Banderas. Even Kidman's children and assistant hold power in the way she appears in their eyes. And Harris's threat voiced in the trailer that
I think I have power over you because I could make one call and you lose everything.
Is there for the thrill and for him to defiantly assert that he doesn't feel manipulated, even in his low ranking in the company. This isn't a story about abuse or emotional manipulation. It's about the messy experience of navigating and communicating our sexual desires. It belongs in the psychosexual thriller category, I think, because it's really aware of the expectations and conventions, but subverts the pitfalls of the genre's worst by ultimately being about flawed humans rather than caricatures. No one is perfect here, but no one is sadistic or one-dimensional. All the acting is incredible. Antonio Banderas has this one scene where he sort of breaks and it's really beautifully complicated. Obviously, Nicole Kidman kills it. There's a lot of times where you can see emotions wash across her face and surprise her. She definitely deserves any awards that come her way. And damn, Harris Dickinson, I hadn't actually realized I'd seen him in The Iron Claw. He was very good there, and I describe his character here as a superhero whose superpower is that he just knows what someone desires either sexually or emotionally. He's not some kind of tortured sadist, if that's a worry you had from watching the trailer or having seen stuff like 50 Shades of Grey. It's a much more complex and just good movie than that. I actually wound up liking it even more than Nosferatu, which is not the way I thought these would have ranked in my head. So anyway, there you have it. 2 good movies about the taboo around women's sexual desires. If you saw either, let me know what you think, and subscribe if you want to see more like this. Bye.